Tower fire, failing to recommend such a move. Kensington Palace has confirmed that Meghan Markle's father will not be attending her wedding to Prince Harry on Saturday, as final rehearsals for the event take place. And a woman who threw acid at her former partner while he slept has been acquitted of murder, but found guilty of throwing a corrosive substance with intent. Hello there, you're watching the Press Preview, our first look at what's on the front pages as they come in. Over the next half an hour, we're going to be talking through the headlines with the chief leader writer at The Observer, Sonia Sodha, and co-owner of Westmonster.com, Michael Heaver. So good evening to both of you.
Good evening.
So let's take a look then at the front pages, and on the front of the Telegraph, a warning from the Irish Premier that the UK will have to follow the rules of the single market, as well as remaining tied to the customs union after Brexit. And it's Brexit again for the Financial Times, reporting that Theresa May has conceded on the customs union until the Irish border dispute is resolved. Well, that Brexit story also features on the front of The Guardian, as does wedding fever, a day out from the big day. The Times reports that hundreds more British troops could be sent to Afghanistan following pressure from President Trump ahead of a NATO summit in July. May on collision course with Trump is what the Eye reports over Britain's stance on the Iranian nuclear deal. Here Comes the Bride is the headline on the Metro, with a picture of the bride and groom-to-be heading to rehearsals for the big day. And that picture again on the front of the Daily Mirror, carrying the headline, My Bride and Joy. They're going to run out of those headlines, aren't they, soon? It's the royal wedding on tomorrow's Daily Express too, and an exclusive story on a campaign to get CCTV cameras installed in rest homes. I'm sad about Dad. The Sun leads with Meghan Markle's statement about her father missing her wedding day, while the Daily Star carries the headline, Bloodbath at the bookies over new gambling rules. So quite a few different stories on the front pages, although we do see a lot of Harry and Meghan popping up there.
A lot of that photo.
Yes, exactly. Lots to chat about anyway with Sonia Sodha and Michael Heaver. And in fact, the wedding is what we're going to kick off with. The front of the Metro is the paper that you've picked out first of all. Here Comes the Bride, as the couple are snapped heading to rehearsal.
Yes, that's right. So lots of papers have got photos of the two of them in the car heading to Windsor for their dress rehearsal. It's obviously been quite a turbulent few days for wedding plans, as there's been a series of sort of U-turns over whether Meghan's dad would be able to walk her down the aisle or not. You've got to feel really sorry for the poor guy, I have to say. First of all, there was this furore over the photos that he apparently sort of arranged with paparazzi to pose for. Then he felt very embarrassed about that and leaked to the American site TMZ that he wasn't going to come. Then he said he would come, but he's actually just suffered a heart attack, and actually he's had to have an operation and will be recovering. So there has been a huge amount of kind of chopping and changing, and it must have been very unsettling, I think, both for Meghan's family and for Meghan and Harry as they sort of prepare for the big day. But today, a lot of the coverage is focusing on the fact that there was a dress rehearsal, crowds and crowds of people in Windsor, apparently, to watch this sort of parade of horses and various other things, I think. Royal fever has taken us over.
And you picked out a double-page spread inside the Sun, actually, didn't you, of some of those rehearsals going on, and you get a sense of the crowds there. And a lot of them are likely to be there from then until the big day, aren't they? They're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, we as a country, I think, are great at big set-piece events like this. You know, just absolutely unbelievable. We see some of these people down here probably camping out there for days. Quite nice weather to do it in, admittedly. But, you know, trying to get in the best view by the gate. I saw some of that footage on Sky News earlier. Just lots of people, some awkward puns here as well. Hope it doesn't rain, and yanks for coming. A lot of, obviously, American interest in this as well. A lot of American tourists. I know there's a hell of a lot of American media there as well. So obviously this is a worldwide event. Huge amounts of people. Lots of interest from across the world, and it's going to be a very interesting worldwide event. I'll be watching the football, of course.
Would you not be watching the wedding at all?
Well, I'm sure I'll dip in and out of it, yeah, but I'll be watching the FA Cup final as well at Wembley.
What about the questions that remain unanswered? And the key one, of course, is who will now walk Meghan down the aisle?
Yes, I mean, that is the one that everyone's talking about, I suppose. So all of the speculation is that she's very close to her mum. Her mum will walk her down the aisle. That would be very nice, I think. And, you know, what symbolism, I suppose, in some ways. At a very, very traditional royal wedding, you know, her mum, who is black, walking down the aisle with her, I think, you know, would be some really good symbolism about the modern day and age in which we live. But maybe she'll also walk herself down the aisle. She's a modern woman. Maybe she doesn't need to be given away. That would say something as well, wouldn't it?
And interesting today that we got a statement actually from Meghan herself about her father not coming to the wedding, and obviously her talking about her sadness about that, saying that it was for health reasons as well. Do you think that this wedding, we're starting to see the royal family dealing with the press a little bit differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can't imagine living my life like this, obviously, with your family and everything.
You mean you wouldn't want to be a prince?
Under the spotlight. Well, no, I don't think the prince life is for me personally.
No.
But no,
I'd say the same about the princess lifestyle.
But I think the royal family, as with everything in life, I think things evolve, and I think, you know, the circumstances around this wedding. You're right. You're seeing a different sort of, you know, the media interest is different from other royal weddings we've seen, etc. But I think everything changes, everything modernises. And what I do know is these guys are exceptionally popular, and actually the royal family amongst a lot of young people in this country, in terms of Harry and Meghan Markle and the rest of it, seems very, very cool.
Well, do you think that's right? I mean, is this good news for the royal family generally? Is it going to boost support?
I think it's brilliant news for the royal family that someone like Meghan is joining them. I think it will be very, very good for their image in sort of modern Britain. I think there probably are questions to be asked about how it's been handled this week. It does feel a bit like, and apparently Kensington Palace say that they did offer advice and support to Meghan's father, but it does feel a bit, you know, watching it, that maybe it just didn't have to be like this. Maybe it could have all been handled a bit better and in a way that would have prevented him taking some of the strain this week in the way that he did. But, I mean, who knows what was going on behind the scenes. But I do think it's incredibly positive for the royal family. And I also think, you know, there's only so much you can tell about somebody from a big set-piece wedding like this. I think the really interesting thing is going to be watching how Meghan Markle performs her role after the wedding, and how will she handle it? How will she conduct herself? What causes is she? It's an incredibly privileged platform in some ways to be able to do some really good things. She's done a lot of charitable work in the past, so it's going to be interesting to see how she handles it and the extent to which, you know, we know she's quite a strong woman. She's really got good, you know, some interesting views about things. She's expressed political views in the past. Is that going to all go away now that she's joining the royal family? Will she be as strong an advocate for feminist movements like Me Too? I will be interested to see.
Indeed, we will watch with great interest. Let's move on in the meantime to the issue of Brexit, because a couple of the front pages have different versions of similar stories. You picked out the Daily Telegraph first of all. So what are they saying?
Yeah, the Daily Telegraph. I think, you know, Brexiteers are going to be looking at these stories and getting increasingly concerned. Britain will need to follow many of the rules of the single market, as well as remaining tied to the customs union, according to the Irish Premier Leo Varadkar. The headline there with the Telegraph, Ireland says UK must keep single market rules. Now, I don't think many Brexiteers are going to be particularly happy to read this sort of stuff. Obviously, they voted leave to sort of regain independence, and now it seems like every step of the way, whether it's Leo Varadkar or it's the European Union or even Theresa May, it seems to be getting watered down and diluted bit by bit. And I think there's deep growing concern about how long this is going to take, where we're going to end up, and why it isn't being carried out far more quickly for a clean Brexit.
And the answer to that partly is because they cannot reach agreement on how to deal with the issue of the Irish border.
And it's not clear what the solution is. So what I would throw back to Michael is, well, you know, people voted to leave, and there were some, you know, very strong voices in the Conservative Party and UKIP on that. But there was no plan for Ireland, which was a massive oversight. And Leo Varadkar is absolutely right to sort of raise concerns. It's inconceivable that there would be a hard border infrastructure between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and all sides have agreed that that must be avoided. Now, one easy way of doing that is keeping Northern Ireland, and hence really the rest of the UK, in the customs union and the single market. And that is essentially the backstop that Theresa May has agreed with the European Union. It is now on the British government to come up with other ways of making it work, and it's really not clear what they might be.
And that's the front page of the FT, really, isn't it? They say that May concedes on tied to customs union until Irish border resolved. What do you make of that? And do do you agree with what Sonia's saying, that why was this not addressed earlier and perhaps even before the referendum?
No, look, I think some of the criticism from Sonia and others is valid in that the government simply haven't committed to their custom. I mean, they're still talking amongst themselves in cabinet subcommittees about what option they're going to go for. I think the option that they have to go for is the one that's called maximum facilitation. It's about using technology, it's about using exemptions for small businesses. And actually, one of the figures in Ireland today actually said that the custom checks don't have to take place at the border. But the point is, the government have to get on with this. And I think, as I say, people will be getting deeply concerned now that you're getting headline after headline after headline about potentially 2023 now being touted. I mean, we've seen recently in politics how quickly things can change. You can't really say that we're going to deliver something in 2023 after another general election. I think people have no faith in that whatsoever. I think they thought that the Article 50 two-year period after we voted in 2016 would have been essentially the period to get your house in order. And for this to now be dragging into the 2020s, I think it's completely unsatisfactory.
How can she sell that to Leeds?
Well, but I'm afraid she has to, because this is the reality of leaving an incredibly intricate, complex union of states, an economic union that has developed over decades. And it's a union that peace in Northern Ireland and the Good Friday Agreement was predicated on the rules of that union, the economic rules of that union. So it's not enough to say, and the maximum facilitation model that Michael talks about, still huge question marks. You know, what is it? How would it work? There aren't any really concrete proposals on the table. So it's something that May is going to have to sell to the country if we are to avoid a hard border in Northern Ireland. It's as simple as that.
We're going to hear a lot more about this, aren't we?
Yeah, but the government have got to get their skates on. They've got to make a decision. Theresa May's got to actually show some leadership here and actually set out that vision to the European Union, to the British people, and get on with it. Stop talking about it and actually get something into action.
OK, on that note, we say get on with it. I'm actually going to take a break now, but we're going to get on with lots after the break, so stay with us, including could CCTV cameras be the answer to protecting the elderly in the UK? We're going to be talking about that in just a moment.